Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty big happening in healthcare.
Yeah, it's this convergence, right? How genomics, AI, robotics, digital health,
Yeah,
they're all starting to blend together.
exactly. We've gone through a whole stack of reports, really trying to pull out the key stuff for you, the numbers, the actionable insights, what it all could mean for investment, say, between now and 2035.
Think of it as your quick guide to, well, potential trillion-dollar transformation in healthcare.
Right. And our mission here is pretty simple. Cut through the hype, give you a clear picture of the real trends, the actual opportunities this fusion is creating.
It's crucial to see it not just as separate tech fields.
Mm.
It's the synergy, the way they work together. That's where the surprising potential really lies.
Okay, synergy. So how does that actually work? How does progress in one area, say genomics, help out AI or robotics?
It's a fascinating feedback loop, actually. So think about gene sequencing costs. They've plummeted.
Dramatically.
Which means we suddenly have this massive amount of genomic data, just huge data sets.
Too much for humans to analyze effectively, I guess.
Precisely. And that's where AI comes in.
Yeah.
It can sift through that data, find patterns, identify risks, things we just couldn't see before.
Okay, so cheaper sequencing feeds AI. Then what?
Well, the insights from that AI analysis, they need to be delivered somehow. That's where digital health platforms come in, telehealth, patient portals, apps.
Ah, I see. So the digital platform delivers the insight.
And sometimes, maybe robotics even acts on it. Think robotic surgery guided by AI analysis of patient scans, perhaps informed by genomic risk factors down the line. It's this interconnectedness.
So it's changing the whole model of healthcare, moving away from just fixing things when they break.
Absolutely. We're shifting from that old reactive model, you get sick, you go to the doctor, to something much more proactive.
Proactive, meaning predicting and preventing.
Exactly. Prediction, prevention, and personalization. Tailoring care right down to the individual level.
Can you give some concrete examples? What does this actually look like for someone, in practical terms?
Sure. Imagine AI analyzing your unique genetic code and saying, hey, you've got a significantly higher risk for condition X. Let's monitor closely or take preventive steps now, years before symptoms might appear.
Okay, that's powerful. What else?
Or think about liquid biopsies, a simple blood test.
Right, I've heard about those for cancer.
Yeah, detecting tiny fragments of cancer DNA circulating in your blood, potentially finding cancer much, much earlier than a traditional scan might.
Incredible. And gene editing, that always sounds like sci-fi.
It's becoming reality. Things like CRISPR technology offer the potential to correct inherited disorders at their genetic source, fixing the typo in the code, so to speak.
And this all leads to precision medicine.
That's the goal, tailored treatments.
Right.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, maybe your cancer treatment is selected because your specific tumor's genetic profile suggests it will be highly effective for you.
It sounds amazing, truly transformative, but is this all just pie-in-the-sky future tech? Or is it actually tackling the real problems healthcare faces now?
Oh, definitely the latter. Think about the pressure systems are under globally.
Costs, right. Always rising.
Unsustainable costs, yes. Plus aging populations, especially in developed nations, needing more complex care.
And chronic diseases are a huge burden.
Massive. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer. They dominate healthcare spending and impact millions of lives. And on top of that,
Workforce shortages, not enough doctors and nurses.
exactly. So these technologies aren't just cool gadgets. They offer potential solutions. AI can automate admin tasks, freeing up clinicians.
That alone would be huge.
Telehealth expands access, especially for rural or underserved areas. Remote patient monitoring helps manage chronic conditions at home, hopefully preventing costly hospital stays.
And robotics and surgery.
Can mean less invasive procedures, faster recovery times, potentially better precision for the surgeon. It's about efficiency and outcomes.
So that trillion-dollar opportunity we mentioned, it's not just the market for genomics plus the market for AI plus robotics.
No, it's much more than the sum of the parts. The real value, the exponential growth, comes from the integrated solutions.
Okay, explain that integration value a bit more.
Picture this. AI analyzes your genomic data and flags a risk. It suggests a personalized prevention plan. You connect with a specialist via telehealth to discuss it. Your wearable device monitors key health metrics related to that risk, feeding data back into the system.
I see. It's the whole connected pathway.
Right. That integrated approach delivers far more value clinically and economically than just having a good sequencing machine or a good telehealth app in isolation. That's the trillion-dollar potential.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into those numbers then. You mentioned market projections. What are we looking at realistically between, say, 2025 and 2035? I know pinning down exact figures can be tricky.
It really is, especially in fields moving this fast.
Yeah.
Different reports define the market slightly differently. What counts as digital health, for example?
Oh, right, the boundaries can be blurry.
Exactly. So you see ranges in the forecasts. But the direction of travel, unequivocally, up. Very strong growth expected.
Okay, so let's start with genomics. What are the projections there?
For the overall genomics market, estimates suggest it could be anywhere from, say, $90 billion to maybe $187 billion by 2035.
That's quite a range.
It is. And the KGR, the compound annual growth rate, reflects that, somewhere between 7.5% and 15% per year, depending on the specific forecast.
Any specific areas within genomics growing faster?
Yeah, definitely. Digital genome applications, basically using software and AI to analyze and interpret genomic data, that could hit between $30.5 billion and maybe $108 billion by 2034, growing around 10.6% to 13.5% annually.
And gene editing.
Gene editing is projected around $14.5 billion, growing at about 12.6% CAGR. But look at-home genetic testing.
Direct-to-consumer kits.
Exactly. That market is projected to potentially reach $20.2 billion by 2035, with a really high CAGR of around 20.3%. Huge consumer interest there.
Wow, over 20% annual growth for at-home tests. That's striking. What about the bigger picture health tech and digital ecosystems?
Okay, this is where the numbers get really big. Healthcare IT, think EHR systems. Hospital software, potentially $1.67 trillion by 2035, growing around 14.7% annually.
Okay, massive.
And then digital health, which is broader, includes wearables, apps, telehealth, remote monitoring. The projections there are huge, ranging from maybe $1.63 trillion up to nearly $4 trillion.
Oh, 4 trillion.
Yeah, $3.92 trillion is one high-end estimate. The KGR range is also wide, maybe 16.5% up to 24.3%. Telehealth services alone could be anywhere from $181 billion to $785 billion by 2030, 2035, growing maybe 11.5% to over 26% a year.
Why such a massive range for digital health? Nearly $1.6 trillion to almost $4 trillion is a huge difference.
It really comes down to definitions. Some analysts include almost everything digital touching healthcare, including IT infrastructure, maybe even pharma R&D tech. Others have a narrower focus on patient-facing apps and platforms.
Okay, but the takeaway is massive growth, however you slice it.
Absolutely. Sustained, strong double-digit growth seems highly likely in the digital space.
And AI, that's the buzzword everyone's talking about.
And the growth projections reflect that buzz. For AI specifically in healthcare, the market size forecasts by 2035 are incredibly varied, from maybe $70.5 billion on the lower end up to a staggering $765 billion.
Whoa.
The KGRs are similarly dramatic, maybe 18% to nearly 36% per year. It's explosive growth potential.
Any particular AI niches?
Generative AI is a hot topic, projected around $40 billion itself. But AI and drug discovery, that's a really key area. Expected KGR around 30%.
30% annual growth for finding new drugs with AI.
Yeah, it could grow from around $7 billion by 2029 to maybe over $35 billion by 2034.
Yeah.
It's seen as a major way to make drug development faster and cheaper.
Okay, one more category. Robotic surgery. It feels more established, but is it still growing fast?
It is, yeah. Maybe not the explosive growth of AI, but very solid, consistent double-digit growth. Projections for the robots themselves range from about $23 billion to $31 billion by 2035.
And related tech?
Right, when you add in the navigation systems, imaging integration, accessories. Some forecasts put surgical robotics and navigation closer to $60 billion, with KGRs around 9% to 15%. Still very healthy growth.
So across the board, genomics, digital health, AI, robotics, we're seeing significant expansion projected for the next decade. But you flagged something earlier. Higher growth often means higher risk.
That's generally true, yeah. Think about those really high growth areas, like maybe some specific AI applications or the direct-to-consumer testing market.
Okay.
These are often newer markets. There's more uncertainty. How quickly will doctors and patients really adopt it? What will the competition look like in 5 years? Could a completely new technology come along and disrupt everything?
So more unknowns.
Exactly. Higher potential rewards often go hand in hand with more volatility and execution risk. The path isn't always smooth.
Understood. So we have these huge markets growing fast. Let's step back a bit. What are the underlying forces, the big macro drivers pushing this transformation forward?
There are several powerful currents converging here. First, demographics. It's undeniable.
The aging population.
Exactly. Globally, people are living longer. In many developed countries, the proportion of older adults is rising sharply.
And older people generally need more healthcare?
They do. That drives demand for everything from telehealth for convenient access to remote monitoring for chronic conditions, AI for diagnostics, maybe even assistive robotics down the line.
Makes sense. What's another big driver?
The sheer burden of chronic disease, diabetes, heart disease, COPD, many cancers. These are long-term conditions that affect vast numbers of people and consume enormous healthcare resources.
So technology helps manage those better.
It offers crucial tools. Wearables for monitoring blood sugar or heart rate, remote monitoring platforms, AI analyzing data to predict complications, genomics identifying risks or guiding personalized treatments.
Like the Guardant Shield test you mentioned for cancer screening?
Precisely. Early detection is key for many chronic conditions. And even looking further out, gene editing holds promise for tackling inherited components of some diseases.
Okay, demographics and chronic disease. What else?
Technology, maturity, and cost reduction. This is huge.
Like sequencing costs dropping.
Exactly. That democratizes access. But also, AI algorithms are getting much more powerful. Robots are becoming more precise, sometimes smaller, maybe even cheaper. And connectivity.
5G?
Yeah. Faster, more reliable mobile networks like 5G make telehealth smoother, enable real-time data transmission from remote monitors, support complex data analysis for AI. Is the digital plumbing getting better?
So the tools are getting better and cheaper just as we need them more. What about the healthcare systems themselves? Are they pulling this tech in?
They absolutely are, largely out of necessity. Systems everywhere are straining under rising costs and workforce shortages.
The pressure cooker effect.
Kind of. There's a huge impetus to find efficiencies. AI automating paperwork or helping with diagnoses. Robotics making surgery more efficient. Telehealth extending the reach of scarce clinicians.
And the shift towards value-based care, paying for outcomes.
That's a key policy driver, too. If you're rewarded for keeping people healthy and managing costs effectively, you're much more likely to invest in technologies that help achieve those goals. Prevention, remote monitoring, efficient diagnostics.
Okay, one last driver. Us, the patients, the consumers.
Absolutely. The consumerization of healthcare is a powerful trend. Patients today expect more convenience. They want transparency. They want personalized options. They want more control over their health data and decisions.
Like booking appointments online or using an app for a video visit.
Yes, but also things like demanding access to their own health records, using wearables to track fitness and health, seeking out direct-to-consumer tests. It's pushing the industry to be more patient-centric.
So it's this perfect storm: demographics, chronic disease, maturing tech, system pressures, and patient demand, all pushing in the same direction.
Fascinating. Now, where is this happening most intensely? Geographically.
There are definitely hotspots. Right now, North America, particularly the U.S., is the dominant market across pretty much all these sectors.
Why the U.S.?
Several reasons. High healthcare spending overall, significant R&D investment, a well-developed tech infrastructure, a very active venture capital scene funding startups. Many of the leading global companies are based there, and generally high adoption rates for new technologies.
Plus, regulatory approvals often happen there first.
Often, yeah. The FDA pathway, while complex, is well-trodden for many of these device and diagnostic areas, so new tech often launches there first.
Okay, U.S. leads. Where's the fastest growth happening?
That's widely seen as the Asia-Pacific region, or APAC.
What's driving that growth? A combination of factors. Rising healthcare expenditure in many countries. Big government initiatives focused on modernizing healthcare, especially in places like China, Japan, South Korea. Large populations, obviously. And incredibly rapid adoption of digital technology by consumers.
So North America leads today, but APAC is catching up fast. What about Europe?
Europe's a very significant market, usually the second largest after North America. They have established healthcare systems, strong R&D traditions, government support for digital health and genomics initiatives. Regulations can be stringent, like GDPR for data privacy, but it's a major player.
And other regions, emerging markets.
Places like Latin America, the Middle East, Africa, currently smaller market shares for these advanced technologies, but huge long-term potential as infrastructure develops and tech adoption grows.
Any specific examples there?
We're seeing things like focused AI initiatives in healthcare in the GCC countries, the Gulf states. So pockets of accelerated activity hinting at future growth.
Okay. So for someone thinking about investment, maybe the core is North America, but you definitely need an eye on Asia Pacific for that growth story.
That seems like a sensible way to think about it, yeah. Diversify geographically, perhaps weighted towards North American leaders initially, but strategically positioned to capture that APAC growth potential over the coming decade.
Got it. Let's dive deeper now into those core investment pillars. Starting with genomics and gene editing, break that down for us. Key areas, key companies.
Okay, genomics.
Yeah.
The foundation is sequencing, actually reading the DNA.
Illumina territory.
Exactly. Illumina, ILMN, is the giant here, something like 80% plus market share with their big Novasec machines. But there are competitors, Thermo Fisher, TMO, Agilent A, Creagen, QGEN.
Anyone disrupting Illumina?
Oxford Nanopore, ONT, is interesting. They have portable long-read sequencing tech that's quite different. And don't forget, it's not just selling the machines. Providing sequencing services is a big business too.
Right. Beyond just reading the sequence, what's next? Gene editing.
Yeah, that's about changing the sequence. Huge therapeutic potential. CRISPR is the famous technology here.
Companies like CRISPR Therapeutics.
Right. CRISPR Therapeutics, CRST, already has Casgevy approved for sickle cell and beta thalassemia. Huge milestone. Others are Intellia, NTLA, Editas, EDIT. Verve Therapeutics is focused on cardiovascular disease using gene editing.
And this is for treating diseases, potentially curing them.
That's the promise for certain genetic conditions, yes. It's incredibly powerful. Then there's diagnostics and screening using genomics to find disease early.
Like Guardant Health.
Guardant GH is a leader in liquid biopsy for cancer. Guardant 360, Reveal, Shield. Exact Sciences, XSS is another big one with Cologuard for colon cancer screening and Oncotype DX for cancer recurrence risk.
And the at-home tests we mentioned, like 23andMe.
Part of that diagnostic screening landscape too, growing incredibly fast, especially for carrier screening and assessing inherited disease risk. It's a major application area for genomics.
So for investing in genomics, it's not just Illumina's hardware.
No. You need to look beyond the sequencers themselves. Consider specialized niches, maybe companies providing sequencing services, and definitely the companies translating that raw data into diagnostics or actual therapies like Guardant or CRISPR Therapeutics. That's where a lot of the value generation is happening.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, moving to health tech and digital ecosystems. It's such a broad area. Where the key investment plays?
Think of it in layers. You've got telehealth and remote patient monitoring, RPM. Think Teladoc, TDOC, Amwell, AMWL. The trend here is towards integrated care, combining primary care, mental health, chronic disease management, all on one virtual platform. Mobile health apps are huge, too.
The basic infrastructure layer?
Sort of. Then you have the electronic health record, EHR, and data platforms. Epic and Cerner, now Oracle, dominate hospital EHRs. But maybe the bigger opportunity now is in platforms that aggregate and analyze data from those EHRs and other sources.
Companies doing that.
Companies like Innovaxer, Arcadia, Health Catalyst, Optum, they focus on pulling data together. Because interoperability, getting systems to talk to each other, is still a massive challenge.
An opportunity.
Exactly. Then there's healthcare data analytics itself, using that aggregated data for insights, improving efficiency, population health management, clinical decision support, supporting value-based care. AI and machine learning are integral here.
Who's playing in analytics?
Some overlap. Innovaxer, Optum, Health Catalyst again. Also big tech like IBM Watson Health, though their journey's been mixed. SaaS, and traditional healthcare players like McKesson, Oracle, and service providers like Sidious Tech.
And finally, the integrated platform.
Yeah, companies trying to bundle several pieces. Viva Systems, VEEV, is a standout, but focus on the life sciences, R&D, and commercial side. Cloud software leader there. For patient care, you see platforms emerging for specific needs, like smart clinics or direct-to-consumer platforms like Hims and Hers, Progeny for fertility, LifeStance for mental health, creating that phygital blend of physical and digital care.
Phygital. Okay. So the key here seems to be connecting the dots, breaking down data silos.
Absolutely. Companies that enable data flow, integration, and analysis, whether it's Viva and life sciences, or maybe Tempus connecting clinical and molecular data, or Innovaxer Arcadia, aggregating patient data, they're solving a fundamental problem. Interoperability is gold.
Right. Next up, AI, explosive growth predicted. Where specifically in healthcare is AI making the biggest impact for investors to watch?
It's spreading everywhere, really. But key areas, diagnostics is huge, AI analyzing medical images, X-rays, CT scans, pathology slides. Companies like PathAI, ADOC are big here.
Helping radiologists and pathologists?
Yes, improving accuracy, speed, catching things that might be missed, but also broader diagnostics. Clinical decision support tools, helping doctors choose treatments, virtual assistants.
And administrative tasks.
The big potential there, too. Automating scheduling, billing, detecting fraud, enhancing cybersecurity, even predicting patient flow in hospitals or helping prevent medication errors. efficiency gains.
But the really hot area seems to be drug discovery.
Definitely. Using AI to identify potential drug targets, screen molecules, predict efficacy, design clinical trials more effectively. It promises to radically speed up and de-risk drug development.
Who are the key players there? You mentioned NVIDIA for the infrastructure.
NVDA is foundational, providing the computing horsepower with their GPUs and platforms like Clara. But then you have specialized AI drug discovery companies. Recursion, RxRx, Schrödinger, SDGR, which blends physics-based modeling with AI in silico medicine, Exscientia, benevolent AI, Atomwise, and Tempus, TMPS, which uses AI on its vast clinical and molecular data set.
So investing in AI, it's NVIDIA for the picks and shovels, but also these specialized companies actually doing the discovery work.
That's a good way to look at it. NVIDIA benefits broadly as AI adoption grows across healthcare. The specialized firms offer potentially higher returns, but also carry the specific risks of drug development success or failure.
Okay, finally, robotic surgery. Intuitive Surgical and Da Vinci are dominant. What else should we know?
Intuitive, ISRG, is the clear leader in soft tissue robotic surgery, no question. Their Da Vinci system is the standard in many ORs, and their Ion system is for minimally invasive lung biopsy. It's not the only game in town.
Who else is significant?
Stryker, SYK, is the leader in orthopedics with their Mako robotic arm for knee and hip replacements. They're expanding into shoulder and spine too. Very strong position there.
And Medtronic.
Medtronic, MDT, is a major competitor. They have the Mazer system for spine surgery and the Hugo system aimed directly at competing with Da Vinci in soft tissue general surgery.
Other players.
Yeah, Smith plus Nephew in orthopedics. Johnson & Johnson also has robotics efforts. Ascensus Surgical, CMR Surgical out of the UK. It's getting more competitive.
What are the key applications? Where is it used most?
Historically, urology and gynecology were big for Da Vinci. General surgery is huge now. Orthopedics is a massive growth area thanks to systems like Mako. Thoracic surgery, spine, neurosurgery are other important fields.
What are the tech trends? Are the robots getting smarter?
Definitely. Better integration with imaging and navigation systems, AI being used for preoperative planning, and even intraoperative guidance. Development of smaller systems suitable for ambulatory surgery centers, ASCs, enhanced haptic feedback for surgeons, and always efforts to demonstrate cost-effectiveness. Intuitive's new Da Vinci 5 platform incorporates many of these advancements.
So, investment-wise, Intuitive is the established leader, Stryker strong in orthopedics, opportunities in niche players or new tech.
Exactly. ISRG is the benchmark, SYK is the ortho leader. But there could be opportunities with companies tackling specific procedures, offering different cost models, or bringing disruptive new robotic capabilities to market.
Okay, we've covered the pillars. Let's try to identify some potential established Titans companies that might form a core portfolio holding in this converging space. You've named several already.
Right, so foundational, Illumina, ILMN in sequencing, Intuitive Surgical, ISRG, robotics, NVIDIA, NVDA is the AI enabler.
Specialized leaders.
Stryker, SYK, in orthorobotics. Guardant Health, GH, in liquid biopsy diagnostics. CRISPR Therapeutics, CRSP, as a gene editing pioneer with an approved product.
And on the digital data side.
Teladoc, TDOC, despite recent struggles, is still a telehealth giant. Viva Systems, VEEV, is dominant in life sciences cloud software. Tempus AI, TMPS, is key for its integrated clinical molecular data and AI.
And AI drug discovery.
Recursion, RxRx, and Schrödinger, SDGR, are prominent public examples there, using AI to reshape R&D.
That's a solid list of major players. Could we maybe summarize key data for them, like ticker, focus, key products, market cap range, maybe recent growth trends or profitability?
Sure, we can sketch that out. Bear in mind market caps fluctuate and financials are snapshots, but ILMN, Illumina. Genomics sequencing, Novasec, 1520B cap. Growth has slowed recently, facing competition, focus on efficiency, expanding install base. Not consistently profitable lately. Key driver, ubiquity of sequencing. ISRG, Intuitive Surgical, robotic surgery. Da Vinci, Ion. Strong revenue growth, double digits. Profitable, key driver. Growth in robotic procedures, new systems like Da Vinci 5. NVDA, NVIDIA, AI infrastructure compute, GPUs, CEDA, Clara. $3 trillion plus cap. Explosive growth, driven by AI. Very profitable, key driver. Foundational role in AI across all sectors, including healthcare. SYK, Stryker, MedTech Robotics, Mako, Ortho, Leadership in Ortho Robotics, broader MedTech portfolio. GH, Guardant Health, Cancer Diagnostics, Liquid Biopsy, Guardant 360, Shield, $2.3B cap. Strong revenue growth, but still loss-making. Key driver, adoption of liquid biopsy for screening monitoring. CRSP, CRISPR Therapeutics, gene editing therapy. Casgevy, $4.05 cap. Revenue jumpy with milestones approvals, significant R&D spend, loss-making. Key driver, success expansion of CASGV, pipeline progress. TDOC, Teladoc Health, telehealth, digital health, virtual care platform, $1.52 cap. Growth slowed post-pandemic, facing integration challenges, loss-making. Key driver, shift to integrated virtual care profitability focus, VEV, Viva Systems, life sciences cloud software, VivaVolt, 40D50B cap, consistent double-digit growth, profitable high margins, key driver, dominance in life sciences software, expanding platform, TMPS, Tempus AI, AI data platform, precision medicine diagnostics, $5.6B cap, recent IPO, high growth, significant losses, key driver, leveraging its data AI for diagnostics and partnerships, RxRx, Recursion Pharma, AI drug discovery, AI platform pipeline, $1.52B cap, collaboration revenue, heavy R&D spend, Schrödinger, AI physics drug discovery, software pipeline, $1.52B cap, mix of software drug discovery revenue, loss-making, key driver, software adoption, pipeline validation.
That's incredibly helpful as a comparative snapshot. Thanks. Now, beyond these established players, what about the disruptors? The smaller, potentially faster-growing companies, maybe private ones too.
Yeah, this is where VC funding gives clues. Lots of money flowing into AI drug discovery, advanced diagnostics, next-gen gene editing, specialized digital health platforms.
Examples in genomics gene editing.
Publicly, you have 10x Genomics, TXG, for single-cell analysis tools, Oxford Nanopore, ONT we mentioned. Privately, Verve for cardiovascular gene editing, Colossal Biosciences trying to de-extinct species using genomics, a bit different. Tune Therapeutics focused on epigenetic editing.
Okay. Health tech digital health startups.
Loads. Hinge Health for musculoskeletal care, Practo Halodoc connecting patients and doctors in different regions, Rohims and Hers for direct-to-consumer care, Clipboard Health for healthcare staffing, Care Message for patient engagement, targeting specific niches.
AI healthcare startups seem particularly hot.
It's very. Zera Therapeutics, Formation Bio, Hippocratic AI focusing on large language models for healthcare, In Silico Medicine, Path AI, In Citro, Atomwise, Benevolent AI we touched on, Navina for primary care AI, Alkin using federated learning. It's a very dynamic space.
And even in robotics, there are challengers.
Yes. Vicarious Surgical, aiming for single-incision robotics, CMR Surgical with their Versia system, Asensa Surgical, formerly Transenterix, Brain Navi for neurosurgery, Andromeda Surgical, Robute developing microrobots. Lots of innovation trying to carve out space.
So a vibrant ecosystem of potential disruptors, but as you said, higher risk reward, due diligence is paramount.
Absolutely critical. Understanding the tech, the team, the market, the competition. It's essential with earlier stage companies.
We've painted a pretty exciting picture of the opportunities, but we need to be realistic about the challenges too. What are the major headwinds or risks investors need to factor in?
Several big ones. Competition, as we've discussed, is fierce. Established players have big advantages, scale, existing relationships, regulatory experience. Niche players face threats from incumbents expanding. Commoditization is a risk in some areas. And expect more M&A consolidation is likely.
Okay, competition. What else?
Regulation, ethics, and privacy. These are huge in healthcare. Getting FDA or EMA approval is long, expensive, and never guaranteed, especially for novel tech like AI or gene editing.
Ethical concerns too, right? Especially gene editing.
Definitely. Germline versus somatic editing, access and equity, potential for enhancement uses, biosecurity, complex societal issues. AI ethics is another minefield, data bias, algorithmic transparency, the black box problem, accountability when AI makes a mistake.
And data privacy.
Paramount. APA-IP in the US, GDPR in Europe. Massive penalties for breaches. Cybersecurity is a constant battle. Healthcare data is incredibly sensitive and valuable to attackers. Ensuring vendor compliance is also key. Companies strong on compliance and ethics might actually gain an edge.
So regulatory, ethical, privacy hurdles are significant. What about practical challenges? Getting this tech actually used.
Big challenges there too. High upfront costs for things like robotic systems or major AI platforms. Hospitals need clear ROI justification. Integration with existing systems, especially legacy EHRs, is often a nightmare. Interoperability remains a huge barrier.
And the people using it?
Workforce training and adoption take time and effort. Clinicians need to trust and know how to use these new tools effectively. And the foundation for much of this, especially AI, is data. Data quality, availability, lack of diverse data sets for training AI, these are all significant implementation hurdles.
Finally, the financial risks for investors.
High valuations are common, especially in hype cycles.
Right.
Many companies, particularly in therapeutics and AI drug discovery, have very long, uncertain paths to profitability due to heavy R&D spend. Clinical trial failures can wipe out huge value for biotech gene editing companies. And there's always market adoption risk. Sometimes technologies just don't get adopted as quickly as forecasts predict.
Okay, so it's definitely not a straight line up. Intense competition, regulatory complexity, ethical questions, implementation friction, and significant financial risks. Investors need to go in with eyes wide open.
Absolutely. Understanding these headwinds is just as important as understanding the opportunities. A risk-aware approach is crucial.
So let's try to synthesize this. Looking out over the next decade, 2025, 2035, what might a strategic pathway look like? How might this convergence evolve?
We can maybe think in phases. The early phase, say 2025, 2028, is likely still about foundation building and initial rollouts. Getting those first key approvals, demonstrating value in early adopter settings, tackling costs and integration challenges will be key.
Okay, foundation building. Then the middle phase.
Maybe 2029, 2032. Focus shifts to broader adoption and integration. We should see more solutions working together seamlessly. Demonstrating ROI at scale becomes critical. Data security and developing clearer ethical guidelines will be major themes as data volumes explode.
And the later phase towards 2035.
Perhaps 2033, 2035 sees the promise of personalization and prediction becoming more mainstream, truly individualized medicine at scale. Challenges then might shift towards long-term safety and efficacy data, ensuring equitable access across populations, managing AI ethics robustly, and sophisticated data governance.
That's a helpful framework. How might an investor think about portfolio allocation across these phases?
A balanced approach makes sense for most. Maybe a core holding in some of those established titans we discussed, the Illuminas, Intuitive Surgicals, NVIDIAs, Vivas for stability.
The bedrock.
Right. Then a growth segment. Companies leading specific niches or showing very high growth, maybe Guardant, Stryker, some of the AI drug discovery players once they mature a bit. Higher potential upside.
And the more speculative piece.
A smaller allocation, perhaps, a disruptive potential. That could be carefully selected early-stage public companies or even venture capital investments if accessible. High risk, high potential reward. Diversification is key across the pillars, genomics, AI, etc., across company stages, and maybe geographically too.
And finally, what should we be watching? What are the key signs or metrics that will tell us how this transformation is progressing over the next 10 years?
Several things to monitor closely. Regulatory milestones are huge.
Yeah.
Key FDEMA approvals or rejections for new drugs, diagnostics devices, AI algorithms. Watch the headlines there.
Technological breakthroughs.
Definitely. Step changes in sequencing cost or capability. Major advancements in AI accuracy or applicability. New robotic functionalities. Gene editing becoming more precise or easier to deliver. These can be inflection points.
Adoption rates seem crucial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are robotic surgery procedure volumes growing? How many hospitals have installed System X? What's the uptake of telehealth visits? How many patients are getting screened with Test Y? These real-world adoption metrics tell you if the tech is gaining traction.
And financials, of course.
Always. Revenue growth, path to profitability, R&D investment levels, cash burn rates, especially for earlier stage companies. And watch M&A activity, who's buying whom, often signals where the perceived value lies.
Anything else?
Keep an ear to the ground on ethical and societal acceptance, public discourse, policy debates, new regulations around AI or genetic data. These can significantly shape the landscape.
This has been incredibly thorough. A real deep dive into what looks like a fundamental reshaping of healthcare driven by technology. It's complex, there are risks, but the potential impact for health and for investment seems immense.
It really does. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider how reactive our healthcare is today, right? We mostly wait for problems to arise. Now, try to truly imagine that shift to a proactive, deeply personalized system, where potential issues are flagged years in advance based on your unique data, where treatments are tailored just for you, where monitoring is continuous and seamless. What are the really big societal shifts, good and maybe challenging, that would come along with that kind of transformation?
That's a powerful question. What does healthcare and society look like when it's truly predictive and personalized? Definitely something to ponder.
It really is. It's going to be fascinating to watch unfold.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights today on this deep dive. And for you, our listener, we hope this gives you a clearer framework for thinking about the future of healthcare and the incredible changes underway. Keep exploring, keep questioning.